We're back. I'll start. Welcome back. This is episode 4 of Life with the Lathams. We're a little bit late. I think we were supposed to shoot last month in April. Yep. I wasn't very well, so with everything that's going on, I didn't have COVID, but there was a small chance I may have. So we cancelled. We've moved it to today, and we are on the 1st of June. Yeah. Which means that my maths was totally wrong, and we were supposed to film in May, but now we're filming in June. So we've skipped a couple of weeks. We're back at Trojan. The gyms are open, and we're on episode 4.
Yeah, and we're both now on prep.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, that's an important part of this.
Yeah. So before, when the other episodes we've done, we've both been off season. We're now both in prep. I'm competing in October at the Arnold's.
And I'm doing I think it's the Europa. I know when it is. I'm not sure what it's called entirely. It's in Spain. I'm pretty sure it's called the Europa. In August the 18th, I think it is. 15th. I'm prepping, so life's a struggle. So I'm 3 weeks. I'm in 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in. So anyway, it's in August. Good God. Which is the IFAB 212 Pro show. So this will, in my eyes, this is my first pro show. I competed last year at the British Grand Prix as a 212 Pro, as an amateur in a pro class. We've had an off season, not the most productive off season. For those that follow me on Instagram, I've been quite unwell for the majority of it. But my physique has changed. So this morning I weighed in. I think I weighed in at 205.8 pounds. The scales tell me I'm 10% body fat. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's fairly consistent in that it's less than when I started. So I will do a little check-in video later. So you'll see where I'm at this point. Obviously we've got a long way to go. Yeah, I think we're 12 weeks out or just under. I did a 15-week prep, which I had no intention of competing this soon. My first show was supposed to be November, December. I wasn't well. I haven't been well for a long time, and if I'm honest, I just was sick to death of feeling like dog shit. And it seems to be whenever I'm on prep, whenever I stick to bland, basic, easy food, I don't get ill. So the story goes, I woke up on a Sunday morning, said to Claire, or asked Claire should I say, would you mind if I did another show and started prep like sooner rather than later? She said, baby, do whatever you got to do. So I dipped my toe in the water with James, asked James the question, was expecting a resigned in, no, fuck off, because that's what I've got up until that point. And he said, buddy, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. So by 9 o'clock on Sunday evening, we booked a hotel, we booked the flights, I had my diet through, I had my supplements through, and we were good to go. So, within 12 hours the job was signed, sealed and delivered, and here we are. I think you're taking a little bit of a longer approach to this.
So I've got a 20-week prep this time. So we're just going to do it slow, try and hold on to as much as we can of what I've gained in this off season. I think by the time I step on stage, it would have been a year since I last stepped off stage. So I'm really excited actually to see what progress I've made during that time. And I kind of feel like I have made quite a bit of progress. This is the first really good structured off season that I've had. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see.
The first
coached off season. From the moment I got off stage to now, it's been coached. So, and I think it's really made a difference. So yeah, I'm excited to see.
I will just say,
peel all the fat back.
I will on that note that I'm obviously coached by James Well, and everyone knows that. Everyone that's ever seen, read or heard anything that I've ever said, I stand by that, and I'm quite, I do push that because I think he's a superb person and a superb coach. Claire is coached by Dan Welburn, which this is your second year, am I right to say that?
Yeah.
With him, so that's, when we say that this is the first structured off season we've had. Dan's very good, isn't he? He's very meticulous. He's very, he certainly makes you accountable for everything that you do. And I think that 100% it is shown in your physique and where you're at now.
Yeah.
But there we go. That's
Yeah.
where we are. That's what we're doing.
First episode on prep.
Yeah, this is episode 4 for Life with the Lathams, but episode 1 of prep. So hopefully, as time goes on,
We'll get more miserable.
We'll get more miserable. Yeah, but we will start to look a little bit more appealing in terms of our physique. So I don't think it's ever going to change. But physically, I should Claire.
Yeah.
We should be going in the right direction.
Yep.
Right, I've been sent this by Justin from 10X. This is the new 10X pump. They do a stim and they do a non-stim. I have gone for the non. This is Claire's first time using this. Now I've used this one for 1 scoop. It says on the tin to do 2. So I'm going to go for 2. I have got a vest on, so we'll see where we're at the end of the session, and you guys can tell me whether it's worthwhile or not. Again, this is my second time using it. This is Claire's first, so keep watching and we'll see where it takes us.
What are we doing today? Heavy. Yeah.
Straps, obviously these are usually designed for lifting, but I have to put these on. I don't even know how to pronounce it, chic is it? Because they tighten my wrist, so it's more so for the fact that the tighter I grip the weight with the strap, the tighter it pulls on my wrist, which keeps it rigid. So they're almost, once I'm locked in, it's almost like a plaster cast, and my wrists are so fucked from where I've broken them so many times, probably 4 times a wrist, maybe more, from the days of racing bikes. If I put any weight through it, my wrists just physically collapse. So you'll watch when I'm lifting, you'll watch the weights go, and that's even if it's a 25 kilo dumbbell. So obviously the heavier I get, the more support I need. So if you're wondering why I'm wearing straps for a push exercise, that's why.
Out to ask a load of questions of just everything about bodybuilding, life, anything. So one of the questions on there was about how we pick shows. So normally for us, we kind of work out what we're doing in the year, how long it's going to take us to prep, just how it fits in with family, etc. So we usually kind of pick a date around where we want to compete. We work back from that date, so then we know obviously when we're going to start prep. Obviously we want to choose what federation has shows around those dates. With choosing federations, I think it really depends on you as an individual, what sort of person you are, if the federation fits your personality. Some are a bit more fitness based, showy, and other ones are more towards bodybuilding. I think as well you need to look at what you want to achieve in bodybuilding, where you want to go, if you want to aim for turning pro, if it offers that in the federation you're going to choose. Obviously we both compete with Two Bros, which is NPC, and obviously the scope for doing well and having a career out of bodybuilding is really good within NPC. So obviously that's the federation we decided to compete in. So once you've chosen your federation, you've worked out the kind of dates around that you want to compete, and then you just look at what shows that federation's offering around that time and just choose your show, book in, and then that's it. Once you're locked in, you've paid your entry fee, you've got to do it.
List of questions, there was one that stood out, which was why bodybuilding? Why bodybuilding? So I used to race motorbikes. I got up to a relatively good level at that. I turned professional. That came to a grinding halt with injuries and amongst a long list of other things. Well, in motorsports, you can be very, very talented, and I'm not saying that I was very, very talented, I was very determined, but you are limited by machine. So you could have two guys that are equally as good on a bike as one another. One could have a bike that's 50 horsepower, the other one could have a bike that's 70 horsepower, and obviously the one with the faster bike's going to win. With bodybuilding, yes, it's an expensive sport, but we all eat. So you're going to put something in your mouth regardless of whether it's going to be a £15 Domino's pizza or an £8 fillet steak. And it's about choices and it's about effort. You could have £150 million in your pot, but you can't buy yourself a good physique. You can't buy yourself the best bodybuilder in the world. You can only achieve that by effort, by time, by doing things that are outside of your comfort zone, that are pushing you beyond your limits. And I think that for me, I know that there's no excuses. There can't be. There can be no excuses because it's on you. That's it. There's no, but he's got a really good bike. Well, he slept in a hotel last night. I had to sleep in a tent because I couldn't afford it. There's none of that shit. Literally, you're as good as you are for that 15 weeks. And whoever put the most effort in and the most time. Yeah, some people argue there's genetics to play, and I'm sure there are genetics to play, but at a basic level of bodybuilding, you could have somebody with the best genetics on the fucking planet who does the minimum requirements, and you could have somebody with terrible genetics who goes above and beyond and eats, sleeps and shits bodybuilding, and I'm confident the one that puts the effort in will come out on top. So for me, I chose bodybuilding because it's on me. If I win, it's on me. I was good, I did the best I could, and I succeeded. If I lose, I know how to rectify that. I have to go harder, I have to go in with with more effort, with more time, I have to put more into bodybuilding than I did previous. And for me, that's what drives me. So why bodybuilding? It's fucking hard.
Say something.
A man of few words.
Absolute shit.
What?
Another question we had was, do you compare yourself to other people you see on social media, etc.? I think any bodybuilder who says no to that question is a liar. I think, especially when you're in prep, I think the opportunity is so easy to just go and take a little peek at somebody else, see what sort of condition they're in, see how big they are. It's just so easy to do. Should we do it? Probably not, no. And to be fair, when I get quite close to a show, Paul actually bans me from going on social media, and I think a lot of people, especially close to a show, do have a kind of blackout on social media just to stop yourself looking at other people. It's not a good habit to get into, and towards the end of the show it's actually quite an unhealthy thing mentally, because you will find that you do kind of maybe latch on to one or two people who know are doing the show, and what you have to try and remember, which everyone needs to remember when you're coming into a show, is that what you see on social media is not necessarily what's real in real life. And I know from experience, you can be following someone on there and you're like, fuck, they're so big, they're so much bigger than you, and you see them in real life and you're like, oh, like that's nothing like the person I saw on there. So do we compare ourselves to other people? Yeah, we do. You can't help it. Should we? No, you should really just try and fucking limit it as much as you can, especially towards the end, especially for your mental health. And remember, everything you see on social media is probably not real.
We do, or at least I do, a lot for shoulders, because shoulders is it's probably my weakest point. I say probably my weakest point. It's the one area that I want to bring up, to bring out. I think with a wider set of shoulders, my waist will look smaller. My legs, we usually reduce the amount I train my legs because they come out a little bit too much and don't create the right shape, so to speak. And I think with a big round set of shoulders, it will help just to balance my physique and maybe look just that little bit tighter around the midsection. I've got quite a thick waist, so we tend to do, obviously you hit your front delt quite a lot doing chest, so we double up on exercises for sides and rears, just in the hope just to try and bring that bit of roundness and that little bit of thickness. So for those that are looking at it saying, oh, we've already done side delts downstairs, that's correct, and we are aware of it, and I just try and plough as much into shoulders as I can. I don't do push-pull legs, upper, lower. I do one body part, so I've got now the remainder of the week to recover, to grow, to refeed, to refuel, ready to do this again next week. And I find that doing a mixture of kind of heavy weight and high volume in the same session seems to work quite well for me. So, you know, we do quite a few different variations of exercises for that exact reason. Okay, so one of the questions was what's my views on having a coach, and I think that this is probably a very specific question to each individual. I don't think that there's a blanket answer for this, but what I will say is food, exercise, drinking, alcohol, drugs, if that's your thing, it's all down to choice. And it's all down to the choices that we make, and I think that a lot of people, and me included, are very easy and very susceptible to justification. And by that, what I mean is, oh fuck it, I'll have a Domino's tonight and I'll go for a run tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, oh fuck that, it's raining, I don't want to catch a cold because I've got to go to work Monday, and without going to work we didn't earn any money and I can't pay the mortgage. So all of a sudden, you've not exercised, you've had your Domino's pizza, and you've spent all weekend sat on your ass watching TV. And I think that although that's not the way it is for everybody, it is very easy to do. And again, maybe not to that extent, but regardless of what you're punching for, whether you're going to compete, whether you want to shed a few pounds, whether you want to put a few pounds on, whether you want to get fucking massive in ripped, or you want to lose weight and look good in a bikini, I think if you've got somebody to be accountable to, somebody that cares enough to say, well stop, hang on a minute, I know what that should have done and it hasn't done it, so why hasn't it done it? And it makes you have to answer those questions and you be accountable for the actions that you've made. Then I think if you're serious about said goal, then I think it's, in my opinion, an absolute must, and it comes hand in hand with wanting to achieve where it is you want to go. So an answer to the question, do I think that a coach is, is it worth having? Absolutely, providing it's the right coach for the right goal, which leads me on to a second part of this question, in that what's the right coach for you? And again, that's a question that's only answerable down to the individual, but what I will say is that I see, along with probably everybody that's watching this, every other post that I see on Instagram is now an advert for, I've got 2 extra paces that have popped up on my social media, on my prep coach team. I've got 3 extra places opening up next week for online coaching. And these people have, although I'm not saying this is the same for everybody, do some research. You wouldn't buy a house based on a picture. You'd buy a house based on going to have a look at it, trying to buy the house. You'd go and get a survey done to see what the house is like, to make sure it's structurally sound, make sure it's going to last you a long time, make sure that it's worth your money. Why would you not do that with your health? If you're going to put your health in somebody's hands, which effectively is what you're doing, you're asking somebody to coach you and guide you in the direction that you want. Now, not always, but certainly in the industry that I'm in, that does involve, or can often involve, different types of food sources, different types of fluids, different types of supplementation, different types of performance enhancing drugs, things that you can't go to a doctor and speak to about. So, if you can't go to a doctor and speak to about it, why would you go to the next man that's on the internet that's telling you that you can, when he's got absolutely no experience of doing that? So, do I think a coach is worthwhile? Absolutely. In my opinion, it's a must. And how would I go about selecting the right coach? I do some research. If you see somebody online and you think, this guy I think is for me, it's fairly obvious who they coach, because if they're a good coach, then they will have people under them that have succeeded in their goals, in which case 9 times out of 10 or 9 times out of 100 they would have used those as an advertisement for themselves. This is where we started, this is us 12 weeks later, well done Claire, this is where we got to. It's very, very simple and easy to click on to Claire's Instagram and just do a bit of research. How did she get there? How did she drop him a message? Oh, I understand you're coached by X. How did you get on? Was he good? Was she good? And away you go. You know, you're not being sly by doing it. You're just doing a little bit of research and making sure that that person is good for you. They might turn around and say, well, actually, I've done most of that on my own. Kind of lost interest after sort of 6 weeks because he was useless. In which case, there's your answer. So, you know, just be careful. There's a lot of people out there at the moment. As it's always been, I think it's just easier to do now because of social media. That will happily take your money and offer you a service that is maybe not entirely what it is they're advertising. And before anybody asks me, no, I don't coach people. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm a competitor, I compete, and for me that's as far as I'm prepared to go with this. So we've just obviously finished training shoulders now, and what I tend to do, just because Harry, who is HR massage therapist, situated within Trojan Gym, usually I'll finish training. I come and see Harry most weeks, twice a week for an hour. So as you all know, my body's falling apart in pieces. At the minute I've got a huge problem with an impinged nerve in my neck, so it's not something that can be rectified in terms of it's never going to go away, but all the muscles that surround it tend to kind of spasm up and harden up, and it can cause me a little bit of grief. So Harry relieves me of that, shall I say, as fucking weird as that just sounded, of the pain, obviously. Yeah, in the many which ways that you can, which I'm sure that you know you'll see a little bit of today. So
Paul's obviously got quite an extensive list of injuries, just from years of motocross and stuff like that. And one of them is at the top of his neck. He gets an impingement, and obviously causes him a lot of grief and stuff. So the body almost just locks up around the area to try and protect it. Which ultimately is brilliant in the body's natural self-defense, but it sort of gets in the way of Paul's training and causes him a lot of pain. So we just come in and release all the affected and inflicted muscles around the area. So we starts up from sort of mid-back, thoracic area up to the top and then into his neck as well. So yeah, come in and we just use a range of different techniques. Sometimes we use a bit of dry needling in it to stimulate trigger points, and sometimes we just stick with some soft tissue stuff, sort of chat to Paul and see what you prefer that day. And sometimes we get it to ease off, and it eases off really nicely, and sometimes it sort of takes a couple of sessions and a bit of a battering, and then it does tend to ease off a little bit after a while, doesn't it?
yeah.
But yeah, so, and obviously just for Paul's training load and stuff, he's going to get tight up for here anyway. So I think sort of with that added on top of it, it just then sometimes you see that spasms and locks out and that. So yeah, just get in and give it a good loosening up. So you can see all the muscle fibres sort of reacting through there. So we're just using the needles now up on Paul's back. So again, the needles are a great modality for sort of when everything's just really, really angry. So we can get them in and they help stimulate the trigger points. So again, to help offer Paul some sort of relief and getting back some movement through there. So obviously the movement then will help everything just settle down that little bit quicker. And yeah, we just sort of pop them into the rhomboids and lats and stuff through here, and we just leave them there a couple of minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes, and then whilst we work on Paul's calves, which you're going to see now. So on this one you have to massage around some pates and pins that you can feel quite close to the surface. I'd say this is probably your favourite bit to get done, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah. It's just fucking horrendous. I can barely feel it.
Did you see that? Get an elbow in there.
I have no idea why they're so bad, being that I've got the calves of a fucking 4-year-old.
Fucking savage, isn't it?
So that is the end of episode 4. We've answered a few questions. We've still got quite a few more that we'll slowly go through them as we go through the episodes.
If you've got any, if there's anything unanswered, anything that you would like to know, anything that you're interested in, anything that you're not interested in, just drop us a message in the comments below, and we will tag those questions on. I think we're going to start answering a few more as time's going. I think more and more people are kind of, the little question mark pops up, and although it's kind of everyday life stuff to us, I appreciate that for those that are just starting out bodybuilding, just learning to juggle kind of married life, bodybuilding life with children, bodybuilding, competing, and all the rest of it. Regardless of how silly the question may be, I think if we had a little bit more advice when we first started, it probably would have made life a little bit easier. So any questions you've got, tag them on. We've trained shoulders today. You've seen me in action with the physio. And if there's anything else you'd like to see from either myself or Claire, I think as time goes on, Claire's going to start doing some check-ins. As the show creeps a little bit closer, and you'll be able to see the progress that she's making. And hopefully, next time you see me, it will be a little bit.
6 weeks out.
Yeah.
In a month?
Yeah, well, 6 or 7 weeks, so I should be in half decent shape, and if I'm not, I'll be panicking. So that's it, we're done?
Yeah.
That's it, we're done.